Hello, how you doing? It's Gus Tucker here at Financial Freedom Fridays. Hey, it's really good to be here. I'm excited about today because today we get practical. We get practical and we're going to work on your plan going forward. So, what I'm going to ask you to do right now is find your budget. Get your budget in front of you. That zero-based budget you put together, um, get your budget so you've got that in front of you. In addition, you just need to know what your net income is. What how much money comes in actually into your checking account from your various streams of income and that budget. And we're going to get going. So please get that budget out. We're going to get going, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. You know what? Let's see. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that screen, and we're good to go. I'm going to make it full screen. So here we go. So this is all about us taking action on your goals to make them happen. Nothing happens till we actually take action in towards financial independence. Because financial independence is a place that we all want to go, but you got to have a game plan, a GPS system, as my wife says, a map for it to go. So you have to send your money down the road to the places that you're trying to get to. You can't send your money all over the place. You got to send it down the road to this place called financial independence. You can't send your money other places and expect to end up at financial independence. And what is that? It's having sufficient personal wealth to live without having to work actively for basic necessities. And we're going to talk about that even more practically today. So please take advantage of the educational opportunities that are out there and available to you. Take the quiz that's on the site. There's a free ebook that will get to you. There's a checklist of over 19 areas that we suggest you really take a hard look at for your own financial well-being and get a free financial needs analysis, which is essentially what I'm going to be taking you through over the next several weeks so you can put your own plan together. We love to work with you on making that plan a reality. Get a hold of us through my email or through our Facebook group. Join the Facebook group for Financial Freedom Fridays. And let's get this rocking. Please read the book. This book is a great um, primer. It's primary stuff. It's basic stuff that you need to know, fundamentals. But I had a basketball coach that said there is no fun without the fundamentals. And ask the teams that are now losing in the NBA playoffs who aren't doing the fundamentals, and that's causing them to lose, how fundamental the fundamentals are. And you don't have any fun, you don't win any games if you don't do the fundamentals right. Okay? The 7 money milestones, we're going to cover those. So here we go. First thing is, and I can't get into all the detail of it, but in life, we've got to say what we want until you see what you say. There's a lot of spiritual principles behind this. There's even physiology and biology around this. But what you say out of your mouth and what you believe determines your destiny. What you believe, what you say out of your mouth will determine your destiny because you'll take action on what you say out of your mouth. I'll say, so get out your budgets, okay? And you're in one of these three financial situations, okay? When you get your budget out, because your income is your cash flow. The money coming in from the different streams of income that you have, that's your cash flow. And your expenses are your cost of living. Okay, so cash flow and expenses. If your cash, you can only be in one of these three positions. Three. Your cash flow is greater than your expenses. your cash flow is equal to your expenses, or your cash flow is less than your expenses. We're going to take time to go through each scenario with some tips. Now, these tips are not to be construed as financial advice. So I don't want you to say, hey, Gus told me I should do X, Y, and Z. I did it. It didn't work. And then you want to get mad at me and you want to have a conversation with me with an attorney and a judge and stuff like that. No, this is not financial advice. I'm giving you some ideas and education and ways to think about these things. If you want advice, meet with us professionally and we can do that. Now, here where you go. So, scenario one, your cash flow is greater than your expenses. Key thing here is first, great job budgeting. You're living below your means. Yes, good job, yay team. Now, 4 things I want to ask you real quick. 1, did you get a tax refund? Did you get a tax refund? Did you get money back from Uncle Sam? Yes or no? I want you to answer that question. Question number 2, are you on track for retirement? Are you saving and investing enough? Do you have a sound strategy for that? Question number 3, do you have enough and the right kind of life insurance? And are you funding kids' college? Are you doing that? Do you have a plan to do that? Are you providing for long-term care for your elderly years? Are you doing that? You're usually doing one or the other, but we really need to be doing both, right? So we're prepared. So let's get into it. Are you getting the tax refund? Yes. Here's a tip. I want you to think about this. A tax refund, it's not a tax-free loan to the government. I put that down wrong. It's an interest-free loan to the government. Because when you get a refund, that means you overpaid your taxes. You paid more than you needed to. And the government's had your money for up to 15 months. And they have paid you 0 interest. If you do that for your entire working life, you've lost out on 6 figures minimum of interest that could be in your pocket. Think about that. You're giving a loan to the government, interest free. So how do you fix that? Well, here's a website you can go to. I'm not going to take you there, but it's called smartasset.com. When you go there and you can do what's called a paycheck calculator, and you'll choose the state that you want. I'm in Illinois. And you go in there and you put your withholdings in there in the calculator and you should put the withholdings that are in your W-9. Once your W-9, that's where you filled out and gave it to your state and told them how many exemptions you wanted. So you need to know what your withholdings are. And then you're probably doing some things with like a 401k, some health benefits and things like that. You want to put those numbers in until you get your paycheck, close to what it is you get every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whenever you get it. Right? And then you got a tax refund. Okay, divide that refund by 12. Why that? Because that's how much you're getting a month of a refund. Whatever it is. So let's say you got a $5,000 refund. That's $400 a month. So change your W-9, change your exemptions until you get $400 back into your paycheck. See, if you would have done that, you'd have had that $400 every month. When you got to the end of the year, your tax refund would have been 0, but you would have got interest on your money. Last year, the S&P 500, not today because the market's been kind of up and down, did over 20%. So $5,000, 20%, that's $1,000 that would have been in your pocket. We have some tools that made 15% last year with a guaranteed floor, which you wouldn't lose money. That's $750 in your pocket with the guarantee you won't lose money. And it grew tax free, and you can take it out tax free. So that tax refund is costing you money. With a little planning, we can put that money back in your check. And with a little discipline, which you probably already have, since your income is greater than your expenses, we can put that money to work for you to create financial independence. And if you get a calculator out and put down $5,000 coming in every year, and you're getting like, just put 8-9% on it, see how much money that is by the time you retire. You'll be surprised how much money that is. I'm telling you. We don't have time to get into that here, but man, it's a lot of money. Tip number 2, are you on track for retirement? Okay, get a piece of paper out. Get a piece of paper out. Get a piece of paper out. I'm going to get a piece of paper out too. Are you on track for retirement? What's your current age? Write that down. When is the age you want to stop working for money? I didn't say stop working. I don't personally believe in the idea of retirement. I think you ought to work your entire life. I just don't think you should work your entire life for money. You might even keep doing what you're doing right now for money in the future, but do it in the future and not need the money. It'll be a much different work experience when you don't need the money. Your mind will be free. Everything will be freer when you don't need the money. Okay? So when you want, what's your age now? Okay? Let's say it's 50. When you want to retire, let's just say it's 65. So you got 15 years till you want to retire. Okay? And then how much money do you want to retire on a year? Let's say it's 50,000. I'm not saying it should be, but it's 50,000. It's 50,000 to retire on. Now, of that 50,000 that you're going to retire on, how much is coming from Social Security? And when are you going to take Social Security? And how much is it? So that's a number. Do you have a pension? Do you have an annuity of some sort that's going to throw off some money every year? Starting when? How much is that? Do you own any investment real estate? Investment real estate, where you're making money off of a real estate investment, and you will throughout your retirement. Do you own any businesses? Do you own any businesses that are throwing off cash, that will continue doing that your whole retirement? So you'll subtract those numbers from your annual income that you want when you retire. If there's anything left, man, that may have funded your whole retirement. But if there's anything left, you probably need to invest some money over the next 15 years so that you can retire. Okay? So, matter of fact, let's make it you want to retire. Yeah, 50,000 is fine. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your phone or a calculator or something. Okay? I'm going to reach over here. I thought I had a calculator over here, but I moved it, so I'm going to use my phone. And what I want you to do is get your calculator out on your phone, okay? Find that calculator and put 50,000 in the calculator. Okay? I want you to type in 50,000 into the calculator. You got that? Type 50,000 into the calculator. Then divide that by 0.04. 0.04. And you're going to get a number. That number should be $1.250 million. Well, Gus, what's that 0.4? That 0.4 is how much money you're going to take out of that retirement account every year. Okay? Now, to take out 0.04, you need to be making more than 0.04, preferably 8 or 9% at least, return on your investment. Because if your investment's it's going up less than 0.04, and you take 0.04 out, 4% out, you're going to start eating into the principal, and eventually you'll run out of money. You got that? So $1.25 million. $1.25 million. Let's just say you need that when you retire. Okay? And let's not make you 50. Let's give you some more time to save for retirement. Let's say you're 40 years old. You're 40 years old, and we're going to get you to retire a little bit earlier, quote unquote, at 60. So you got 20 years. So at 60, we need to have $1.25 million sitting in our retirement account. Okay? I'm 40 right now. How much do I need to have in my account right now to be on track? Let's figure that out using something called the rule of 72. We covered this a little bit earlier, but we're going to go through it again. The rule of 72 means if I take an interest rate and divide it into 72, it tells me how quickly my money will double. Well, why is that important? Well, if I need money, if I need $1.25 million when I'm 60, and I got to invest today, I want my money growing as fast as possible and doubling until I get to that 1.25 million. You with me? I said, have you heard me? All right. So we're going to work in reverse. So we're going to take the number 72 and we're going to say we get 8% return. That means our money's going to double every 9 years. You got that? 8 into 72 is 9. So every 9 years, your money's going to double. So if I'm 60, if I go back 9 years and I'm 51, I need to have half this amount of money because it's going to double. So at 51, I need $625,000. You tracking with me? Because it's going to double over that time frame, that 9 years, because my goal is to get 8%. Got me? Now, let's take 9 more years off of 51. I'm at 42. Oh, man, that went by pretty fast. Oh, Lord. I need to have $312,500 in my account today to have a shot at having $1.2 million when I retire to give me $50,000 in income. So we need to do this with your numbers. What do you need to retire? What are the things you have set up already for retirement? And then how much do you need to add with your savings? See, look, you got people in your family that you love and they're in their 20s. They need to be thinking about this when they're in their 20s. I was talking to a guy, he's 21 yesterday. We were kicking it. And he needed to have $19,000, $20,000 saved today. He didn't have it. But boy, the light bulb went on for him about how much money he needed. And the income number we went after for him was low. So people need to start this process as early in life as possible. So do you have some young people, 20s, 30s? They need to see this video. They need to connect with this information. They need to connect with the financial professional. We're more than willing to help them so they can work this out. So you need $312,000. Well, we can work with you to how much you need to be saving on a monthly basis and what kind of strategies to be able to get to that number. Does that make sense? So this is a person who's making more money than they're spending every month, but that money, you need to be doing something with it. One, you need to be paying the least amount of tax that's legal and investing those tax refunds if you're getting it. The second one, you need to know your retirement numbers and have a strategy for how you're going to invest the money to get where you want to get to. The third thing, do you have enough in the right kind of life insurance? Why am I asking you that? All of us, I think, probably, all of us during this COVID situation have probably lost somebody. Probably lost somebody who died that we didn't plan on losing. Nobody knows when they're going to leave here. Okay? So we need to prepare as if they were gone. Typically, in a family, that's going to leave a hole in the income. So we need to not only bury that person, but we need to replace their income for the entire time that they would have been here that they're not here. Okay? So there's some rules of thumb about that, and then there's a strategy that we use to develop it. So one rule of thumb is 10 times your gross salary. So if you make 50,000, you need at least $500,000 worth of income. But if you get 10 times your income and your salary is 50, and you're gone for 20 years, oops, you don't have enough. So we encourage a second strategy. So you can figure out, okay, 10 times your salary, that's one shot. Now let's take another look at it. And let's look at it by need or by strategy. So we use this thing, it's called DIME, D-I-M-E. See how it's going down, the red letters going down, D-I-M-E. What does the D stand for? Death. You got to pay for your funeral. How much are you going to pay for your funeral? That's up to you. Funerals can be 5,000 to 5 million. How much you want to spend on it? It's up to you. But you need to know what the number is, and your family needs to know what the number is, so they know what the budget is and what you set aside for. So you got a number. You write that down. Boom. Your debt. This is consumer debt. This is student loans, credit cards, store cards. God forbid, payday loans, any kind of consumer loan, a loan on a car, a loan on a motorcycle, a loan on a timeshare, any of those things. Add up the balance, not how much you pay a month, but the balance of what you owe on those things. Okay? Next is income. If you passed away yesterday, obviously you didn't because you're still here. But if you would have passed away yesterday, how many more years in the future would your dependents need to rely on you for money? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? I don't know. But write that number down. X number of years. Let's say it's 15 years. And you make $100,000. 15 times 100 is 1.5 million. So you got a number on the death line, the debt line, and then you got 1.5 million on the income line. Now you got a mortgage. Do you want to pay off your mortgage? Or you want to just pay the mortgage out of the 1.5? Or do you want to have a separate line item for the mortgage? It's up to you. This is totally your plan. But what's your household mortgage? How much do you owe? Not the monthly payment, the balance. The balance. And if you want to throw in some money for insurance and taxes, so you got money to pay that for the next number of years too, throw that in too. So it's just not the mortgage, because when the mortgage is paid off, you're still going to have insurance and taxes. Okay? So now you got the mortgage number. Then estate. What does that mean? You ever heard of trust fund babies? Well, yeah. Well, somebody sat down with a financial professional at some point and had this conversation with them. And they said, hey, how much money do you want to leave for your family when you pass away? And I've got a number by child. I want to leave each child a certain number, and it's a 7-figure number that I want to leave each one of them when I'm gone. What's your number that you want to leave either each child, grandchild? It could be an institution like a church or some nonprofit. Somebody who you want to leave a lump sum of money in your estate to help them be better off in their life and pay it forward to the next generation. Next is education. Whose education would you like to fund if you could? You don't have to, but if you could, you would. Let's go back to a state. How many of you guys go to a church? How many of you guys go to a church? I would really encourage you to leave your church part of your insurance policy. You're tithing and giving. Well, when you pass away, that stops. So how many years would you like the church to get a gift from you? You can set that up through insurance in a trust. Hey, I'm gonna put 100 grand in a trust for you, and every year it's going to give you X% of that money, and it can keep going on forever. Education. Whose education do you want to pay for? Okay, so that'll come up with a number, and then now you know how much insurance you need, and you know why. You can add other things to the list, but the thing about life insurance is the life insurance professional, the financial professional, shouldn't tell you what your number ought to be. You ought to tell them based on the job you want your insurance to do. Does that make sense? Okay. We're winding down. We only got a few minutes. We're not going to be able to get through all this today. We'll have to come back. I'm going to share with you one more thing. I'll try to in a couple minutes. So there's basically two kinds of insurance. There's term insurance, which I call temporary insurance. It lasts for a term, usually somewhere between 5 and, depending on the company, 40, 45 years. But it's a term. It's a length of time. And you typically pay a flat rate for it. I would not encourage you to get increasing term insurance where the premium starts out real low when you're young and then it gets real large when you're older. Couple things about term insurance I'd encourage you to think about. It's a buying tip. One, buy what's called flat term insurance, where for the entire term of the policy, you pay the same price. Well, 3 tips about term insurance. That's one. Second one, that it's what's called convertible. What does that mean? Convertible. That means you can convert it from term to permanent insurance or cash value insurance. Another name for cash value insurance is permanent. Case in point, I have a friend and she's in the hospital right now. We're praying for her. She had a term policy that was increasing, meaning as she got older, it got more expensive. She's got a litany of medical issues that make her uninsurable. They can't get rid of that policy. If they could have converted it into a permanent policy, it would have been more expensive than the term, but it would have been a flat rate for the rest of her life. Now this increasing term is going up every year. And if it wasn't convertible, let's say it wasn't convertible and it was just flat term, well, when it runs out, that's it. Now you can renew it, but imagine you got a 30-year term policy when you were 30. It was cheap. If you get that same 30-year term when you're 60, that means until you're 90, it's going to be a lot more expensive because you're a lot more likely to die from 60 to 90 than from 30 to 60. So you want to get it to be convertible into permanent. The third thing you want are living benefits. What are living benefits? We're going to talk about those a little bit later, but you want to make sure it has living benefits on it. The second kind of policy is cash value. We're going to talk about that. Neither one is best. They accomplish different goals. I tell you what, we're going to stop here. We're going to stop right here. We're going to pick this up when we get back together. But in review, just real quick, let's go back real quick. 1, your income is greater than your expenses. 4 things you ought to think about. Do you have a tax refund? Hey, let's change our withholding, change our exemptions, get that number down, get that money in our check and invest it. Number 2, are we saving enough money at the right interest rates to get to our retirement number? We need to figure that out. Third thing we need to figure out, do you have enough and the right type of insurance? And we'll finish talking about the difference between term and permanent or cash value insurance next time we get together. Okay? Let me know if this is helpful. Okay? Hit us up in the comments. Leave us messages in our group. Email me. Say, hey, this is helpful. No, it's not. Or I wish you would talk about X, Y, or Z. Now, I know one of those things is investing. I'm going to bring a friend of mine on here to talk about that. But let us know what it is you're up for, okay? With that, have a great weekend. We're out. We'll pick this up next time we get together. Take care now. God bless. Bye-bye.